Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They call the ghost buzzers in the in control. Had them throwing a party for a bunch of children. All the while, the slime was under the building, so they packed up their grip. They came equipped, grabbed their pull-down packs, and that they split. But out about Vigo, the master of evil, trying to battle my boys. That's not legal. Sorry, I was listening to that song all day yesterday, man. That song got stuck in my head. Hello, good to see everybody in the building today. Welcome, happy single Sunday. All right, to the RBN. Welcome to the Jaybe show. My name is James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you here. Just to let you guys know that the Jaybe show is every single Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also catch me on my channel, on the Jaybe Font channel, on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Also, just to let you guys know, thank you so very much for all of you who are subscribed to our Substack. You guys will like to. You guys can go to revolutionaryblackout.substack.com to get email notifications so that you guys know whenever we go live or upload clips on RBN. Also, thank you so much to the patrons on Patreon. For without you guys, we would not be able to do what we do, as well as anybody who sends any type of mutual aid through the GoFundMe or through other various platforms that RBN uses. Just to let you guys know, we also fundraise for our graphics designer, Aaron. So if you guys would like to, because Aaron does an amazing job, you guys can go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout or Cash App $ Mutual Aid Forever, because Aaron does a great job. And she does an amazing work for us. Thank you so much, Aaron. Now, just to let you guys know, I'm going to say hello to all the people in the chat, because that's what's important, is the viewers. So we're going to go in here. We're going to say hello to everybody. I'm hungry, though. I'm just letting y'all know. I did not have breakfast this morning. Well, okay, I had a slight tiny little snack, but that wasn't really much of anything. So I'm definitely going to eat something really good after this, but we'll get to that in a minute. CBC voters in the chat saying The Villages, Florida, United States. I didn't know about this place. Yeah, The Villages is it's a pretty conservative place. A lot of, especially presidential candidates who are conservative, they will make their way out to The Villages. So yeah. Thank you so much to Teresa. Teresa Gosnell just became a member. Yes, we do have memberships also as well on RBN. So thank you so much to Teresa. We really appreciate it. And this goes a long way. Thank you so much. Angela Sangster is in his building saying, greetings, JB. Happy Sunday. Good topic to cover. SCOTUS has way too much power. That is, I'm going to start at, because we got to come back to that point right there, Angela. Mr. Bordick says we should abolish the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm going to start that too. Let's talk about it. Anthony Milecki saying, giving green hearts. Thank you so much, Anthony. All right. Thank you so much. We have Eric Gray coming in saying, as a critical part of the superstructure that helps to maintain and protect capitalism, the Supreme Court has to be destroyed alongside with the overthrow of capitalism itself. Bars, Eric. All right. Sweary Fairy besties. I love you, people. We love you too, Sweary Fairy. Good to see you. Wardy is in the body. In the body. Sorry. I don't know. My brain is like switched in a weird way today. But hey, everybody from Wardy. Good to see you. All right. Matt Miller saying, what's up, sir? Hopefully not my cholesterol. That's the only thing I think that would be it. Well, actually, no, I don't think my cholesterol's up. Last time I went to the doctor, my cholesterol was actually really good. I know, right? Chubby guy like me, great cholesterol. Who'd have thunk it? All right. Who else we got up in here? We have Jayaki, the anarchy, you know. Good to see you. We have Deconstructing Topics saying hi. Hello, Deconstructing Topics. Left is best. Good to see you. All right. Matt Miller says oats for breakfast. Yeah, I haven't had oatmeal in a while, but I should put oats in my smoothie. You can also do that too. I think that would be great to do. I'll try it. But just to let you guys know, hello to everybody that's on Rockfin, as well as hello everybody that's watching on Rumble. This is my first time streaming on Rumble, even before my own channel. But look, it's good to see all of you here joining me today. And I am happy to be able to be streaming to all of you, as well as on Twitch and Twitter and Facebook. Good to see all of you watching. So what are we going to be talking about today? So I'm going to bring up my thumbnail so we can see exactly what I'll be talking about, so you guys can know what the dealio is. So it's going to be SCOTUS versus unions, Supreme Court of the United States versus unions. Why am I talking about this today? This is actually going to be very interesting. And I'm just like, hold up, wait a minute. Dangerous precedents are being set within this country. Very dangerous. And so this is actually going to be something I'm going to be talking about. But before I get into that, there is a update that I need to show you guys. So last week, the subject that I was talking about was Pride, LGBTQ, and how it's, relates to class issues. I've gotten a few messages from some people, and it's kind of weird because some people will be like, oh my God, you're embracing Pride. You're no different than the corporations. And I'm like, you may want to reverse that, because if I'm embracing Pride, I'm embracing the original meaning of Pride, which was a rebellion, which was a means to overturn the system that was going up against people for being who they really are, for us just living our lives as human beings. And so if you're going to come at me and say that I'm no different than the corporations for embracing Pride, you may need to flip that, because the corporations are co-opting Pride. The corporations are the ones that are giving Pride less of a meaning now than it used to be. It's no different than when the corporations started co-opting things like Black Lives Matter, right? So it's the same thing. They're the ones at fault. They're the ones that are co-opting. We're the ones that's been doing what we've always been doing. And so please don't come to me talking about, oh, Pride is a corporate thing, when originally it wasn't. And don't come after Black people either when we decide to celebrate Juneteenth because some corporations decide to co-opt it. We are the ones who originally who celebrated it. We're the original ones who embrace it. And so just because it gets co-opted doesn't mean it takes the meaning out of it. It's just we need to take it back. It's the same thing with the word woke. It still has the same meaning in the black community today. It's just other people co-opted it and made it something that it isn't. So that's something that I want to address, because people are coming at me and going, why are you embracing corporations? I'm not. The fact is that the corporations are embracing, well, not really. There is just a means to make more money. When in reality, I embrace Pride because, number one, I'm gay. I'm gay as hell. Number one. Number two, it was a means to fight against the powers that be that go up against those of us who are different. That's all it is. And so that's what I talked about last week. And I'm not going to relitigate the entire thing. If you guys want to, you guys can go. There are clips. There's the whole entire live stream from last week. Go ahead and take a look at that. But that's what it is. And I'm going to share this really quick because this basically solidifies my point. Because I saw this, I was like, what in the hell? And thanks to Ann Garrison for showing this. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. And then we'll get into the main story. Look at this. Lockheed Martin at Pride. Lockheed Martin at Pride. Like, no. This is one of the things I'm talking about. This is not pride. This is corporatism. This is capitalism. This is co-opting. Hold on, let me make my face bigger so that people know where I stand. This is co-opting of a movement that was against police brutality, that's against the state mandating us being who we are, that is no harm to other people. And so Lockheed Martin, along with all the other military industrial complexes and all the other corporations, are only doing this to make themselves look good to those of us that don't know. And that's the problem. This is why, if Pride was the way it originally was supposed to be, back then, Lockheed Martin wouldn't touch Pride with a 10-foot pole. And it shouldn't, because we don't want anything to do with these corporations. We don't want anything to do with any of them, because they're only there to make a buck off of our queer hands, off of our queer dollars. Rainbow capitalism will not save us. And if you're out there cheering for Lockheed Martin at Pride, shame on you, because they are going to be bombing and contributing to the deaths of other queer people across the world just to make $1. So that's the problem. Bring back Pride the way it used to be, where it was us going up against the system. Just like what Sylvia Rivera said, it's become too capitalist. Same thing with Black liberation. You got a lot of these companies wanting to embrace Black people only to get our dollars, but in reality, they don't give a shit about us. It's the same thing with gay people. The same thing with women. Same thing with disabled people. And you don't think they're not going to start doing that for neurodivergent folks? They're going to co-opt them too, if they haven't already. So wake up and realize that the people who actually celebrate Pride, like myself, and actual gay people that really don't want these corporations there, we're actually the victims in this, because we're the ones who are having our culture co-opted. So don't come after me. Don't at me. Don't DM me about, oh, well, you know, these corporations are all about Pride. No, they're not. They're not. If they actually were about Pride, then they wouldn't be going there as corporations. But they're not about Pride. They're about just making an extra buck. I'm about Pride. See the difference? And also, by the way, to anybody who's talking about Joe Biden putting up the Pride flag at the White House, number one, I don't give a shit if he puts the Pride flag at the White House. He doesn't actually care about us. What Joe Biden just did, honestly, that was tokenism. It's no different than Joe Biden talking about how he supports Black people. He doesn't support Black people. He doesn't support gay people. He doesn't support LGBTQ people. He doesn't. So guess what? When Joe Biden puts a Pride flag Bullshit. He doesn't care. It's just to make it look like it's the facade, right? If he really cared about us, then our material conditions would be better. But they're not. So he doesn't give a shit about us. Joe Biden cares as much about black people and gay people or queer people as Donald Trump does. Think about that one for a second. Now, I just wanted to address that really quick because that was something that I was being approached with online, which is crazy. Anyway, I only got so much time for bullshit. Anyways, so now let's get to the story. SCOTUS versus unions. So the Supreme Court of the United States decided to side with the corporations. Surprise, 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 I know. Right? But let's talk about it. So there was a tweet put out by More Perfect Union earlier this year. And they're talking about a specific case that's being brought before the Supreme Court. And this has to do with striking workers. So I'm going to share my screen really quick so you guys can see this. And then we're going to be giving you an update on what's happened. So it says, More Perfect Union 1, beginning today, workers' right to strike is on trial before the U.S. Supreme Court. If wealthy corporations get their way, companies will be able to sue workers for the cost of a strike, like spoiled food, lost revenue, and more. Here's what's happening. So let's go into this video.
Imagine you're a newly unionized Starbucks barista discussing whether to strike. You've got lots to think about, but what you probably wouldn't expect to have to consider is whether your union-busting boss, Howard Schultz, is going to sue you for the impact of your strike on Starbucks, for the coffee that gets wasted or milk that goes sour or lost revenue from customers who get tired of waiting in line. But if a Seattle concrete mixing company and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce get their way before the Supreme Court this year, that's the crazy position that American unions are going to be in if they want to strike. And it could be devastating for workers everywhere. The case the Supreme Court is considering is called Glacier Northwest versus International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local Union 174. And here are the facts. After months of contract negotiations, cement mixers at Glacier Northwest decided to go on strike. They drove their trucks back to the company's headquarters and walked off the job. Workers left trucks that had already been loaded with cement running so that the cement wouldn't instantly harden inside the truck's drums. The strike lasted 1 week before the companies reached agreement on a new contract. The issue in this case revolves around what happened next. The employer sued the Teamsters for tortious destruction of the company's property. Glacier asked a Washington state court to make the Teamsters pay for damage to their trucks as a result of cement hardening after the strike began. The Washington State Supreme Court threw out the case, finding that it wasn't appropriate to apply state law to a labor dispute covered by a federal law, the National Labor Relations Act. The state Supreme Court's decision rested on long-standing U.S. Supreme Court precedent that the National Labor Relations Board decides whether union conduct is protected by federal law or not. This should have been the end of the story. Unfortunately, it wasn't. As we've seen with the supercharged conservative majority currently sitting on the Supreme Court, no precedent is safe. To date, the Supreme Court has recognized the importance of the right to strike and allowed state law to sanction strike activity only when a union's behavior is so egregious that striking workers have lost the protection of the federal law. Think violence on the picket line or obvious vandalism at the employer's place of business. But in this case, there are no allegations of violence, and the drivers even tried to mitigate harm to the trucks by leaving them running. Bottom line, it shouldn't be the union's job to make it as easy as possible for an employer to weather a strike. The whole point of a strike is to create an economic incentive for an employer to bargain seriously with the union. But even if this was a close case on the facts, which it isn't, the Supreme Court still had no business hearing it. It's the job of the NLRB to decide if strike behavior is egregious or not. So why is the Supreme Court getting involved to open the door for companies to sue unions that strike? Because this court has shown a sustained hostility to workers' collective bargaining rights. Just a few years ago, it reversed decades of precedent to make it harder for public sector unions to collect dues. And 2 years ago, it made it impossible for union organizers to talk to farm workers in the fields of California. And now conservatives are plotting to make it easier for wealthy corporate bosses to be able to sue union employees just for asserting their constitutional right to strike. At a time of historic levels of worker organizing and public support for unions, it is exactly the wrong time for the Supreme Court to make the right to strike harder than ever for workers to exercise. But for the Roberts Court, it seems to always be time to side with corporate employers' efforts to undermine workers' rights.
So that's basically the synopsis of what's going on regarding hearing this case. So basically, this will set a dangerous precedent, because then what does this mean? If this company is able to sue striking workers, then any other company can also sue striking workers for trying to basically, use their power of their labor in order to get concessions for what they need as workers. So if you want to have a better wage, a living wage, guess what? You can't even strike, because if you go on strike, you will be sued by the company for damages. If you go on strike because you want better health care, you will be sued for trying to get better health care. And so that's where we're at now. Let me just go back to this really quick, because she makes a point that I would like to add on. Okay.
But in this case, there are no allegations of violence, and the drivers even tried to mitigate harm to the trucks by leaving them running. Bottom line, it shouldn't be the union's job to make it as easy as possible for an employer to weather a strike.
So when it comes to striking, workers aren't supposed to be helping the employer to get off easier when it comes to a strike. What is that? It's like they F around, but you don't want them to find out. If they don't suffer the consequences of their actions, how will they learn? You see, here's the thing. The corporations want to F around, but they don't want to find out, right? The thing is that we're trying to make them find out, but now your Supreme Court goes, yeah, no, you can't. No, they're not allowed to find out. They can just keep effing around over and over and over, day after day. And then if we try to make them find out, then we get sued for damages. If a person hits you and then you press charges, why are you going to be the one that gets arrested for pressing charges? That person decided to fuck around, and you're trying to make sure that they find out. but then you get in trouble for making them find out, even though it is fully legal and justifiable? Well, when we say we want to end the system, we mean it. So this basically goes over everything that she just said. And so this was back in, I think, January. Hang on, let me see. Yeah, January, beginning of January. Well, some stuff has happened since then, and we're gonna go to it because this happened 10 days ago, and it's not good. Not good. So let's take a look here. Update. Says breaking, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of a concrete company that wanted to sue a union because of a strike cost them money. The 8-1 decision means the company, Glacier Northwest Incorporated, can sue the union over a strike where truck drivers left wet concrete in their trucks. Says the one dissenting judge, Ketanji Brown Jackson, argues that the majority is inserting itself into an assessment of labor disputes that is lawfully the purview of the National Labor Relations Board, and the court is overstepping here. Here's what Ketanji Brown Jackson says, Justice Jackson. She says, but instead of modestly standing down, the majority eagerly inserts itself into this conflict, proceeding to opine on the propriety of the union strike activity based on facts alleged in the employer's state court complaint. As part of this mistaken expedition, the majority tries its own hand at applying the board's decisions to a relatively novel scenario that poses difficult line drawing questions, fact sensitive issues that Congress plainly intended for the board to address after an investigation. In the course of inappropriately weighing in on the merits of those questions at this stage, the majority also misapplies the board's cases in a manner that threatens to both impede the board's uniform development of labor law and erode the right to strike. So that's what Justice Jackson says. She's the only dissenting voice on this. It continues, says she also argues that the court is putting the onus on workers and their union here, when it is actually incumbent upon Glacier, the company, to take steps to negotiate with the union and mitigate their losses. This is what Justice Jackson continues. Says, nor was the onus of protecting Glacier's economic interests if a strike was called in the middle of the day on the drivers. It was instead on Glacier, which would have taken any number of prophylactic mitigating measures. What Glacier seeks to do here is to shift the duty of protecting an employer's property from damage or loss incident to a strike onto the striking workers, beyond what the board has already permitted via the reasonable precautions principle. In my view, doing that places a significant burden on the employees' exercise of their statutory right to strike, unjustifiably undermining Congress's intent. Workers are not indentured servants bound to continue laboring until any planned work stoppage would be as painless as possible for their master. They are employees whose collective and peaceful decision to withhold their labor is protected by the NLRA, the National Labor Relations Act, even if economic injury results. So this is very logical, deeply logical take from Justice Jackson, right? And precedent talks about the video that I just showed you guys. But if you F around, you need to find out. And the thing is that they're like a bunch of petulant children that go, oh well, they're trying to punish us for actually, working against them. So we're gonna go to mommy and daddy at the Supreme Court and force them to pay us for damages so that they won't strike against us, even though even though they are the ones that are treating their workers like crap. And their workers said enough is enough. So if your truck gets ruined because the cement dried in it, well, whose fault is that? You should have been treating your workers right. But now, because of that, because of this decision, they do not face any repercussions for their actions. So if you can treat your workers any old kind of way without any type of punishment, you can treat your workers any old kind of way without any type of, process. I'm trying to be careful. Then what's the difference between that and, like Justice Jackson said, involuntary servitude, slavery? What's the difference? Because enslavers, the slave masters back in the day, my ancestors, they could do whatever they want with impunity to their workers, to their slaves, without any type of punishment given to them. And that was enabled by the state. And so I've said this before and I'll say it again. Capitalism is a system that has its maximum fulfillment in slavery. Chattel slavery is capitalism fulfilled. And every single time capitalism, you deviate capitalism away from its original form, chattel slavery, it desperately tries to crawl its way back to that. And so that's where we're at right now. Look what's going on. Back when you had people like FDR in power, they employed the New Deal. We had the 8-hour workday implemented. Child labor laws were implemented. And then on top of that, there was this huge push for basically white people to move to the suburbs. And they all started owning homes. And they all, started going up the economic ladder, right? It's the growth of the middle class. That was a move that took away from the corporate dictators and gave it to the people. The corporate dictators do not forget. And so what they're doing now is they're saying, middle class? Hell no, there is not going to be a middle class anymore because that wealth is going to be ours. They're crawling it back, all that wealth back. So we're no longer going to have a middle class. And the working class, they're trying to turn back into chattel. That's what it is. It is capitalism reverting back to its original form. It's when it has everyone as chattel and only a small few people get to be the rulers, the ones who basically own us all. That's how capitalism works. So now you're seeing what's going on in places like Iowa, right? That they're bringing back child labor. And what's going on in within our country, right? The military industrial complex, right? And the policing system are one. And you see that with Cop City happening in Atlanta. And so because Cop City in Atlanta is being forced upon people in Georgia, you now have a militarized police, a military with badges that are now going to be fighting against the people for expressing their rights as citizens. So imperialism, which is the highest stage of capitalism, is now going inside the United States. So all the BS that happened in Iran, Iraq, Somalia, Libya, all these different countries is now going to happen to you. Yes, it's going to happen to all of us. Abu Ghraib, guess what? It's going to happen here. And so when people talk about, oh, the United States would never, it has, and it will do it again. It has, and it will do it again. And over and over and over again, just to keep as much as it can. Because these people, these supervillains, want more until there's nothing left. They're going to consume this entire planet. They are that. When I say they're a cancer, they are a cancer. And a cancer will devour until its host is completely consumed. But once the host is completely consumed, what happens to it? It destroys itself. And that's how it works. And so when it comes to corporations like Glacier Northwest, they do not want to be held accountable for their actions. Capitalism hates accountability. Capitalism detests accountability because it's cyclical. It's like it's the Ouroboros. It is a snake eating its own tail. But once it gets to that last vestige of its own tail, guess what? It expires because it eats itself away. And the crazy part is this is a system, and when we say it's unsustainable, that's what we mean. It is a system that requires infinite growth on a planet with finite resources. That's what it is. Now, here's the thing. One of the things that the lady on this screen, she said that about the court, the conservative part of the court siding with the corporations. This was an 8-1 decision. There are only 9 justices. That means the liberal justices sided with the corporation. The liberal justices sided with the corporation, meaning Kagan, Sotomayor, and I think there's one more, or I think it's just three of them. Yeah, Kagan, Sotomayor, and Brown Jackson. The only one that sided with the union was Brown Jackson. So for anybody coming in here saying, well, we just got to change the court because Joe Biden, all we need to do is put in a more liberal court so that we can actually have more power. It don't work, boo. It don't work. Look, I look at capitalism like I look at Darth Sidious and Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars. He has control of the Senate and the courts. He's too dangerous to be left alive. Remember that? That's the problem. Capitalism has control of even the court system. The DA, the attorney generals, the police, the courts. They will continuously side, even with the corporations, the corporate dictators, against people like you and me. 8-1 decision. People like the system works for whom? Ketanji Brown Jackson, the newbie, the only one that went up against it, that said, yeah, no. If you guys mess around, you're going to find out. You need to find out. Maybe you shouldn't treat your workers like that. Then maybe your trucks you wouldn't have to worry about that. That's all on y'all. That expense is on you. Your truck gets messed up because your workers walked off because you were treating your workers bad. Okay, that's on you. And now, do you guys see what we meant? With oh my God, what's her name? Hey, she passed away. The justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We had our things to say about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and everybody's like, oh, well, we lost her, and that was a big loss. No, it wasn't. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was not a loss. She sided with corporations. The liberal justices side with the corporations. They even put up a fight. So when we talk about we need to change the system, this is why. And you'll have progressives and liberals talk about, oh man, we are solidarity. They'll use words like solidarity with the unions. We're union people. Now what? The liberals, the majority of the liberals, 2/3 of the liberals on the court sided with the corporation. So please tell me how expanding the court, or please tell me how keeping the Supreme Court and just having more liberal justices is actually going to help us. No, go ahead. Tell me. I'll wait. I got time. Actually, no, I don't have time. I got to eat. But yeah. So this is the problem. Reforming the system does not work. Putting more liberal justices in it, expanding the Supreme Court. That's a reform of the system. The reform of the system doesn't work. I'll put it to you like this. Y'all gonna get mad at me, but it's whatever. Labor laws is just reformation. It's just reforming the system. And we can go and say, oh well, if putting labor laws in place in a capitalist system is analogous to trying to take police and banning chokeholds. Is banning chokeholds really going to change policing? It staves things off for a while, but it will come back. Any type of labor law that's been put in place, any labor law in the United States, it is just a bridle put on that horse. But that bridle gets shaken off every single time. So when people go, we just need to pass these different laws for these companies, the only reason why I'm on board is because it mitigates the damage and disaster against the people. But in reality, we need to take this table and flip it over. It is not going to hold up for long. It's like you have a machine and you do like a little temporary fix on it just to hold it together just until you get it until you actually replace it. Right? That is what putting these labor laws in place are. It's just temporary until you can actually fix it. And the thing is that it is not missed on me that there are certain things there when a revolution happens that'll still remain, but there are also still some things that are temporary fixes that keep us safeguarded until we do a revolution. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, I think I got a couple of, let me see. Thank you to Left Less, says police can't strike either. Well, they could, but what would they be striking about? Last time police went on strike, it was something that I was actually kind of happy about, because that means that they actually stopped doing police work, which means that they stopped perpetuating the violence that they claim to stop. And actual crime went down when police went on strike. So if they want to go ahead and quit, I'm all for it. Go ahead and quit. I'm cool with it. But yeah, I know they went on strike in New York. Thanks for the super chat. Justin says, just a super chat in solidarity. Oh man, thanks, Justin. Appreciate it. That means a lot. Thank you so very much. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I had to say about the system. And the thing is that, you'll have people who are like, all we got to do is just put in more progressives. That's reform. Reform does not help. Like I said before, reform, different things like voting for president, especially within the duopoly, trying to do reforms of the system. It's like this. You got a pile of shit in the room, and you're doing this, spraying the room down, right? You got a pile of shit in the room, you're spraying the room down to get rid of the smell. But eventually the smell wears off. And once the smell wears off, what are you left with? A pile of shit. So what's the best solution for the problem? Put on some latex gloves. Get some of that antiseptic. Get some of that, bleach. Get that cleaner. Pick that shit up, put it in the trash bag, throw it out, take that cleaner, and disinfect the entire area. Clean it up. And then you magic. But that's how you have to do it. But you have so many people that are Febrezing the room over and over and over and over. And then the Febreze wears off. It wears off again. And it wears off again. But then you're still left with a pile of shit in the middle of the room. Stop spraying, start cleaning. And the problem is that people will still keep going, oh, but we just need to spray more. No, boo, you gotta clean it. I'm not gonna put on some dress clothes and then just put on cologne every single time. And then after a while, people are gonna come up to me, yeah, you need a shower. Take a shower, boo, wash your clothes, and then guess what? You stink no more. It's the same thing with this system. We continuously spray cologne on our dirty asses each and every time without actually taking a shower. That's revolutionary. That's what we're talking about. Now, if you're out somewhere and something stinky got on you, but you haven't got time to get home and get a shower yet, yeah, that'll help just for a few minutes until you can get home. But now you're home. Stop spraying the cologne, boo. Stop playing on the perfume. Take a shower. Wash the clothes. That's going to make things better. Clean up the shit out of the room. Wash the area. Disinfect it. Once you do that, then spritz a little. See? It smells so much better. And that smell will linger longer. And you won't have to smell shit even if it wears off. Do you get it now? That's what revolution is. It clears the shit out so that we can actually breathe as human beings. Don't you want to breathe? I want to breathe. I'm sick and tired of holding my nose. We're always holding our nose. That's the problem with the system. It tells us to keep holding our nose, but if you keep holding your nose for too long, guess what? You stop breathing and you suffocate. Now, the Teamsters actually responded to what was said, the judgment by the Supreme Court. Let's go to what the Teamsters said. So this is Teamster Union Local 174. And it says, statement regarding SCOTUS ruling on Glacier Northwest versus Teamster Local 174. So it's from a few different people. So let's go. So this is from Darren M. Dalmat. Says, although we're disappointed in today's result, the court's opinion leaves intact both the federally protected right to strike and the basic framework for determining when labor disputes should be decided by the National Labor Relations Board instead of the state courts, which is one of the things that Ketanji Brown Jackson was actually arguing, is that the Supreme Court should not be arguing this. They should not be settling this. It should be the NLRB. Says first, the court rejected Glacier's attempt to effectively overturn the 1959 decision in Garman, which says that federal labor law preempts state lawsuits that challenge conduct, even arguably protected by the NLRA. Second, the court rejected Glacier's attempt to adopt a novel subjective test that would have stripped strikes of protections whenever strikes intend to cause employers economic harm. It instead maintains current law, which strips federal protections for strikers only when they stop work without taking objectively reasonable precautions to avoid foreseeable, aggravated, and imminent harm to employer property. Third, the NLRB maintains its primary role in deciding the actual facts of labor disputes and whether, under the actual facts, federal law protects strikers in their strikes. At the end of the day, nothing in this decision will stop workers from exercising their federally protected rights to strike when necessary to achieve better wages, benefits, and working conditions. In this particular case, Glacier has found a way to prolong its meritless lawsuit by artfully pleading allegations the court today found sufficient to get past a motion to dismiss. But we're confident, based on the extensive record developed in the case by the Labor Board from January through March 2023, that the board will find the Teamsters Local 174 strike in this case was protected based on the actual facts, not just Glacier's allegations. Continuing, the Glacier Northwest decision changes nothing. The momentum of our labor movement cannot be stopped. This is from April Sims. It says, as organized workers, we control when and whether we labor. Opinions of the court will not stop workers striking for better pay and working conditions, exercising our right to make our own choices on pregnancy, or fighting for better jobs and stronger communities for all working people. Working power is on the rise. This is from Katie Garrow. The decision by the Supreme Court today is disappointing, but not surprising. Same here. There's no doubt this attack on our right to strike will backfire on those who want to destroy unions. The court's decisions will be a wake-up call to millions of workers across America that is more important than ever to organize a union and fight for a better life. I would add to this myself that I think that organizing for worker co-ops so that we actually have actual power over our means of production would also help as well. So I think that that would be one of the best things to do, is to try to organize and push for more worker co-ops. Because the thing is that if you are a worker owner, then all you have to do is vote among your worker owners. There's no need for a union if you already own it. It's just like if you own your home, or if you own your home collectively with a few people, then you won't need to organize against or have a tenants union if you own the building with your other tenants. If you guys are actually owners, same thing. So the need and necessity for striking is moot. So this is from another worker. Says 6 years ago, the company forced us on strike by refusing to bargain in good faith, and they've been coming after us in court ever since. As far as I'm concerned, today's decision changes nothing for us Teamsters and will not stop us from fighting as hard as we can for strong contracts. And the last one, Rick Hicks says, Teamsters Local 174 has never shied away from taking the fight to the streets when corporations refuse to do right by the people who work for them. Our members have never backed down, and nothing will ever take that fight out of us. I'll put it this way. They can sue all they want, but you can't get money out of people who ain't got shit. And so the only thing that will ever happen is if police actually have a hand in, oh, you guys sued and you guys don't have the money or aren't paying, well, then they may send the police after workers for not working. And that's where we're at. So if police are going to come after you for not working, what is that called? It starts with an S. Say it with me, folks. Slavery. So that's where we're at now. And so this is why organizing is so important. Because organizing means that you're able to, if they want to mess around, then they can find out. Ultimately, this system just needs to be destroyed because it's really not doing any good for the majority of us. Let me go here. Thanks to Justin for the super chat. Justin says, absolutely yes, worker co-ops. Not talked about enough. Dr. Richard Wolff explains is the next step to take for socialism. Well, it's not missed upon me that we still have this system. Worker co-ops can be a way to show other people that democracy in the workplace is the next stage of our evolution within this country. That's honestly what it is. And people, while I am for unions, I think having worker solidarity and being able to negotiate with the owner is one thing. But being a worker owner and having votes on how the workplace operates is a completely different thing. And so then you're more likely to want to work in accordance with the community, in accordance with the environment, and it makes it better. So it's a step above unions, in my opinion. Workers owning the means of production is socialism. And so I do not want to keep capitalism going. I want capitalism to burn with fire. And that can only happen is if we get rid of it. See, they let some steam out of the valve to release some pressure with the New Deal. That's what happened. They released some of that pressure. That pressure has been building for well over 80 years now. Here's the thing. I do not want the people to get harmed, but this system won't change without the agents of the system harming the people to prevent that change. Thanks to Sam Dixon for the super chat. Says, I love having class with you, and I always look forward to what you have to contribute to class. You're an inspiration to do better and learn more. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I do the Marxism class with Mr. Marx as well, and I'm learning a lot. Let's go back to a couple things. Angela Sangster said SCOTUS has way too much power. Yeah, like I said, when capitalism owns the courts, they're going to favor capitalism. It really takes the legitimacy out of courts to me. Mr. Boric said we should abolish the Supreme Court. I think that's a part of it. I think that if we're really going to have courts, then it should be with, the power of the people behind it, not the power of corporations. Unfortunately, we have nothing but corporate power that influences the courts. And then Eric says, as a critical part of the superstructure that helps maintain and protect capitalism, the Supreme Court has to be destroyed alongside with the overthrow of capitalism itself. Which, people would say, well, how are they influenced by corporations? Who puts the Supreme Court justices in place? The Supreme Court justices are put in place by politicians that are supported by corporate interests. And so, therefore, those are the people who they want to be in place in court. Look, Elena Kagan, Sotomayor, Kennedy, John Roberts, Amy Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, they're all wanted by the corporations. They're not there because, they just have integrity. No, the courts are like, the corporations are like, yeah, we want them. You don't think the corporations don't have a hand in picking out who runs our court system? Our circuit courts, our Court of Appeals? You don't think they don't? Let's go even further. The attorney generals, the district attorneys, the prosecutors, they also have a hand in who they want to pick, especially when you go to higher office. So, yeah. That's what happened. And I think one of the best solutions that we could do, for the most part, is the organizing work, getting to know our neighbors, and one hand helps the other. Finding out our needs and the needs of our neighbors, and then facilitating those needs. And then it's not even a barter system, which requires, once I give you something, immediately you have to give me something. Okay. You ever go out with your friends and you guys go out to eat and you're like, oh man, I don't have any money. I'm sorry, I can't go. And they go, no, you just give me next time. You got me next, right? Well, yeah, okay, I got you. I think it was archaeologists that discovered, and anthropologists that discovered that that's actually the system that they used for thousands of years in different ancient cultures before capitalism, before commerce. It was I got you next. Oh man, you need some meat. You don't have any meat. All right, I got you. You got me next. Oh, you just made some bread. All right, cool. Thank you. I got you next time. I got some chickens. I'll give you some eggs next time. That's how they did it. If it worked for them for thousands of years, what makes you think it won't work for us now. Let's get each other next time. Let's do that. One of the things that I want to encourage is, and I think this was put up a couple days ago, but this is one way that you can do it. And this is what Revolutionary Blackout Network is doing. So this is a tweet by RBN. It says, raising $500 for the unhoused. RBN Skid Row Outreach, Saturday, June 17th, which is going to be this Saturday. Food and clothing giveaway. Donate, come out to help. And then if you would like to donate monetarily, you can go to Cash App, $ Mutual Aid Forever, or Venmo at Forever Mutual Aid. And then also you can retweet. So this is out of the RBN Long Beach chapter, which is CJ chapter. I'll be getting my chapter up eventually. It's a little slow with me because of my physical limitations, but I'll be getting mine up in a little while. But take a look at this. This is RBN Skid Row outreach. And so I'm going to share the link with all of you so that those of you who are on Twitter can share. But let this be a encouragement for you that you don't necessarily have to have a chapter. You can just organize with friends and do different things. Do you garden? Got some tomatoes you can give somebody? And maybe they know about computers. Maybe they can help you out by doing some stuff for your computer. Are you good at tutoring math for your kid so that somebody's kid can do better in math class? Do you have a car where you can give somebody a ride to the grocery store? Do you know how to bake? You can bake pies. Or are you a lawyer? Are you an attorney? Can you use your skills to help people with legal aid, free legal aid? Do you know how to work the Social Security system? You know somebody that's disabled, that's recently disabled, that needs to get through the system? Are you a trainer at a gym? Could you help train people for free? As they're trying to maintain their health? Are you a nurse? Are you a nurse practitioner? Are you a doctor? Can you help your fellow people without them having to come into your office? Or if they do come into your office, are you willing to help them out without getting their insurance information? This is what it's about. Building a dual power, a system outside of the capitalist system, so that we go, you got me next time, right? Okay. That's what it's about. Because if we're really serious about getting rid of this capitalist system, it's about helping each other out and being neighbors. Because we can't depend on these courts. We can't depend on these corporations. We can't depend on these politicians. Now, yes, some people are running, and they're running on great platforms in order to really, increase the conversation, have a national conversation. But this is the tool we use in order to push that national conversation even further, to help other people. And let's say somebody who's running talks about healthcare for all, right? But if somebody also has, is a nurse that's doing some work for people, outside of their actual jobs to help, people, or if you're a nurse practitioner, or if you have if you're an EMT and you have some experience when it comes to first aid, and you're helping people, with certain things, then you can use that to go, well, what if we actually nationalize our healthcare system? What if you didn't have to pay for lawyers at all, ever? Lawyers were just defense attorneys and prosecutors were no cost. These are some of the things that we can use to bring these things up. Now, some of you know that I used to be Jehovah's Witness, right? And one of the things that we used to do was, well, when I was one, we would use mutual aid as a means to preach. We would feed people. We would, like, if they were building what their churches would call kingdom halls, when we build a kingdom hall, if we saw somebody, or we were repairing a kingdom hall and the neighbor's house was also damaged during like a hurricane or a natural disaster, not only would we repair the kingdom hall, we will also go to the neighbor's house and repair their roof or something like that on top of it too, free of charge. And a lot of the brothers and sisters in the congregation were also board certified. They were certified in their what they did. If they were a plumber, if they were a roofer, they were certified with the state. So that stuff will be done correctly without an above board. So I take that knowledge and I'm like, start doing what Rome's doing. And you can do it even a very small way, but you're using that to show people what could be, what is best for all of us. Let's just go back to the way things were, right? Let's go back to, you got me next time, right? I got you next time. Let's have a system of where we get people next time. And then when that next time comes, we actually got them. May not be at exactly, 1 for 1. I may make you, a big thing of mac and cheese. You may help me for a couple of weeks in the gym. Hey, we got each other. So that's what. So yeah, if you guys would like to RBN Skid Row outreach, I know the Savvy is starting her chapter as well. Nick is on the way. Rome is right there. And I got a little bit farther to go. But I would like to, if you guys are trying to get with me out here in Orlando, or not even Orlando, Central Florida, for mutual aid for the Orlando chapter, please make sure to go to Revolutionary Blackout Network. Sorry, info@revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com. Hang on. Let me make sure I get the... I'm sorry. info@revblacknetwork.com. Sorry. And then in the subject line, just put Orlando chapter, and then that'll be forwarded to me, and then we'll get things started, so that we can start doing more within our community. And even if you're not in the area, look for mutual aid groups in your area to join. Hell, join Food Not Bombs, right? Just go to them. See if you can help them out. They have places everywhere. Oh, here's an idea. If you're good with computers, could you build a mutual aid network with people who are also involved in information technology to help people with their computers or their phones? You know how much it is to have to buy a new phone? What if somebody that is good with tech that can actually fix your phone for you free of charge. What about that? I'm just spitballing ideas out there. But do that too. Come up with some great ideas and share it with us, man. Share it. Hashtag mutual aid ideas. Let's do that. So, yeah. I'm gonna get going because I have to eat. I have to eat. Is it about to rain? It rained like crazy yesterday. Well, not like crazy, but it was. I cut the grass yesterday. All y'all, I almost passed out. Lord and Lord, that I could have used some mutual aid yesterday with my grass. Oh my goodness. But yeah. Anywho, that's what happened to me. Donald B says, "Love your show. What are us regular working people in for with the coming dollar collapse? All people seem to care about are the stock markets." Okay. All rich people seem to care about the stock markets. Here's the thing when it comes to the stock markets, Donald B. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. 80% of the stock market is owned by the top 1%. So if you really want to know how rich people are doing, just look at the stock market. But most of us don't own stocks. Most of us aren't in the stock market at all. So when it comes to us regular working people and us poor people, or as Marx calls the proletariat, we just have to start organizing outside of the corporate dictator's purview. With the dollar collapse, the de-dollarization that's happening, BRICS is going to be meeting to try to propose a new BRICS currency. We are going to feel some pain, but the only pain that we are going to feel is because of the corporate dictators wanting to take their losses out on us. So that's what I feel is going to be happening. But yeah. So I think that what I just said earlier about us organizing together and having a more mutual aid type of system with each other, I think that's going to kind of cushion us a little bit. Like let's say hypothetically, they start raising prices even more than what they are now. Well, instead of having to go to a grocery store, what if you have some people that you know that are also doing some gardening, and you also do some things that can help them out? You know what I mean? Like, what if I'm a gardener and I'm next to a mechanic, and the mechanic knows how to fix the tools that I use to garden, and then I can help supply the mechanic with some food. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. So, I think this is what's going to help us survive the end of capitalism. I think that's the point. And so, yeah, I feel you, Donald. So thank you so very much. Much appreciated. Let me check on the Rockfin side. The rock side. Rock. Steady. Steady rocking all night long. All right. So. All right. So let's hang on. Let's present the screen. Okay. All right. So thanks to Gene Whitworth says, if the liberals sided with corps against workers, they are not liberal, they're conservatives. Fake ones, because preserving a competent workforce is conservation of resources. Liberals used to protect workers. Gene continues, you're not using the word liberal correctly, Jaybe. You're using the fake liberals, neoliberals, intended you to, because it benefits them when you do it. It is important to use these terms correctly if you want to relate to older folks, not confuse them. Just saying, a Workers' Bill of Rights amendment to the U.S. Constitution would help a lot, even with co-ops, to see that workers get treated properly by the majority. I see what you're saying. I think it depends on how you're using it and where. But at the same time, a lot of the older people, you can use the jargon to teach them, but I still am of the opinion that liberals are actually on the right. And the thing is that that protection is to protect people within the system. I don't want this system to continue. That's the thing. The system needs to go because it perpetuates too much suffering. So, and then having a workers' bill of rights put into the Constitution, I'll be honest with you, I think that's just a reform. I don't want to reform this system. I want to end it because it's done nothing. Because that workers' bill of rights can be repealed and retracted over time. Just like a lot of things that are going on right now today. Like, we're literally repealing child labor laws as we speak. So that's the only thing, that's the only slight pushback that I'll say. But I do understand, where you're coming from too. I think there's a lot of overlap in our opinions though. So thank you so much, Gene. Appreciate your comment. Now, let me go to the chat before I get going because I want to make sure that I get some of you guys. Let me see. Lorshek Molshe says, same with so-called overproduction, not given support, but destroyed and buried in deserts of Chile. Yeah, the whole thing with the false narrative regarding I'm forgetting words today. Sorry. Don't do drugs, kids. The false narrative regarding, not having enough, right? There's this scarcity of not having enough for everyone, when in reality we have enough for everybody. The scarcity mindset is not real, and so that's the thing. By the way, whoever you are, there is no such thing as a trans industry. So yeah, fuck off with that. I'm sorry. There's no such thing as a trans industry. If you're going to say that, then you might as well say there's also a cis industry. There's also a hetero industry. There is none. So please, all right? That BS. The fuck out of here with trans industry. There's no such thing. Anyway, but yeah, Gamer for Life says, I only have Twitter for this community and left the indie channels. That's it. Oh, okay. Thank you. Screen Arts Media says Clinton's and the third wave sold labor out in the 90s. Yep. And he signed NAFTA. Absolutely. Which actually hurts all of us. And Clinton was a liberal. That's the thing, But yeah. I went longer than I intended, actually. I was going to make this a abbreviated stream, but I guess it's a full one. Let's see. Lorshek says it is even counterproductive for public health if millions aren't treated. Imagine the pest breaking out. Yeah. So yeah. So I got to get going because I'm starting. But oh wait. Let me go to Rumble and see if there's anybody that's commented so far. I think I yeah, let's check and see if there's any comments on Rumble. I don't know what you mean. Evil Ken says, let's all make $1,000 an hour, and that guy's paying. What do you mean? I have no idea. Anyway, but it's all good. So thank you so much to everybody. Oh, Ohana, what are you saying? Hello, everyone. Please consider looking into the Toledo, Ohio smart meter project. The city is shutting off children's water in the middle of a drought if the homeowner refuses a smart meter. What? That's ridiculous. Shutting off children's water in the middle of a drought? Hell, shutting off children's water, even if it's not a drought, I don't care what time of the year it is or what the circumstances is. That should not be happening to any person, even if they're not a child. Thank you for letting us know about that, Oana. Wow. These capitalists, man, these guys, they have no moral center at all. Jeez Louise. Thank you for telling me that before I left. Okay, thank you so much, Oana. Wow. Okay, so yeah, I really got to get going. But thank you so much to everybody. Also, if you guys have not, then you guys can subscribe to our Substack. You guys go to revolutionaryblackout.substack.com for email notifications so that you guys know whenever we do go live and we have clips uploaded. So thank you very much for that, as well as thank you to all the members. Yes, we do have memberships. So thank you so much for that. Thanks for the tips on Rockfin. Thank you for the super chats on Rumble, as well as here on YouTube. And as well, thank you to all the people who have already donated to to Aaron for our fundraiser for our graphics designer. Let me just put that down. You guys can go to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout or Cash App $ Mutual Aid Forever so that we can continuously raise funds for our graphics designer, Aaron. Or you guys can also go to our GoFundMe. You guys can just go to GoFundMe and look up Revolutionary Blackout Network. And we will also have our GoFundMe to raise money for different things that we're doing as far as mutual aid and paying for our graphics designer, Aaron. Aaron, thank you so very much for all you do. You did an amazing job. Even with the clips that I put out, you did an amazing job. So thank you so very, very much for that. All right. No, it is not. No, it is not. Stop. No, it is not. There's no such thing as trans business. You really need to educate yourself on this. And I'm not going to explain it any further. But the thing is that if you think trans business is capital, then there's also gay business. So do you think I'm capitalist because I'm gay? Stop dividing the workers. You're dividing workers. You're dividing the proletariat. You're dividing the people by using this type of rhetoric in order to keep us against one another. You're actually being counter to what you claim to be. That's what you're doing. And if you keep doing that, then guess what? Then if we're against one another, then we're never going to actually achieve an actual future that is equal, equitable for all of us. My goodness. Wake up. Get woke in the real sense. Not what these other people are saying, oh, woke is. No, get woke for real. Jeez Louise. Anywho, gotta go because I'm hungry and I'm getting hangry and I don't like to be hangry. But anyways, look, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Mwah! Forehead kisses to every single one of you. I am going to be going. What am I going to eat? I think I'm going to have a burrito. You know what a burrito looks like, right? Let me stop. Anywho, I got to go. Bye.